my voice, so when I got home, I sounded like a smoker. I gave up smoking, so I didn't sound like a smoker.
We're gonna need your help with that. Oh, yeah, it's, she showed me. Oh, she missed that one, so now it's free. Perfect. Okay. Oh, perfect. All right, so we're both mics on? It's just that.
Hello? Okay, good. Alright, so I figured the second I start talking, more people are going to come in because we did have more people on the list. We're going to skip the icebreaker and thank you guys for coming in. Oh, see, I told you guys the second I start talking. So you come in. Alright, so we are going to skip the icebreaker. We're going to break up the agenda a little bit. We are going to introduce ourselves so you guys know who we are. And then I'm going to go over the agenda. And then Erin's going to talk a little bit about Mills College. And then we're going to do the workshops. So you guys, the workshops, we have a hard stop at 3 because we are all respectful of your time. But if you have questions afterwards, come and talk to me, Sienna. Want to go first?
Okay. I didn't know okay.
I'll go first now. And not all of my photos are showing. Okay. So a little bit about myself. My name is Nicole Moreno-Deinzer. I put the -Deinzer because that way, like, it's easier to find me on like SEO because not everyone has Deinzer as a last name. And that man gave me that last name. So it's very German. So a little bit about myself. I am the founder of Epiphaniana Magazine, and then I started doing Epiphaniana marketing, so working with other small business owners and going over social media and marketing. So the magazine has been around for about 3 years, and I'm still in it. So I feel like there's a lot of things I did wrong, a lot of things I did right, and I'm always wanting to share that with people. And then the photo that isn't showing, I was so upset. It's a group photo. I felt really proud. This past October, I was nominated and I won Add2SF. It's a marketing organization in San Francisco. It is meant for the young marketers, so 30, like the 34-year-old and younger. And it's supposed to lead into like you start then joining the American Marketing Association. Both great organizations, by the way. I definitely think you should join them. So I was nominated and won their Add2SF 32 under 32, and I thought it was pretty cool for the magazine. So I wanted to show that group photo. And then that photo, if you guys know me, I like to travel. We were in Colombia, and before we took that photo before we went into like an underground church, and it was pretty cool. So that's a little bit about me, and Missy is now going to introduce herself.
Hi everybody, my name is Misia Denea. I'm the owner and founder of Hoffa Holistic Integrative Wellness as well as Healing Space Solutions, and my wellness business is really focused on yoga, Pilates, and other types of ways to enjoy well-being, but from a body positive perspective. So usually when you open up a yoga magazine or go into a Pilates class, there's usually one body type that people think that they're going to see. And what I'm trying to do is break that barrier and let people know that all body types can enjoy fitness and wellness. And then my Healing Space Solutions business, that's my logo. That's a picture of me at the ocean by the bay. And it's a marketing consulting business, but I really wanted to focus on creative folks and wellness professionals. And I know a lot of women are in those businesses and they're like, I don't know how to promote myself. I can promote other people, but I can't promote myself. So the target market I usually go towards is women, people of color, queer people, and things of that nature. And I met Nicole because we were both at the Impact Hub Oakland last year, well, the end of 2016. And I read her LinkedIn. I was like, I gotta get to know this person. She's just absolutely amazing. So we started doing a series of Facebook Lives, just giving people like 30 minutes, an hour of free tips on how to build your business and develop your marketing. And then after a year of that, we gotta do a live event. So this is our first live event, and welcome, and we hope to offer more. And if you have questions or anything like that at the end, you can talk to us after we do our presentation.
And thank you for telling our story. It was interesting. We're like, when you're in the same meeting and you're just sitting next to someone and you want to talk to them, and you think they're going to be really cool, but you're just like that little kid, like, you're just like, I don't want to talk to you. We were both like that. We were like, oh, like, you do marketing and I do marketing too. So this is our agenda. Erin's going to talk about the program here at Mills. They were gracious enough to give us the space, and I went to Mills for my MBA. I actually went to San Francisco State for my undergrad, and those were two different experiences. A very big public school, you're sort of just a number. And here, where you can't really hide because people know who you are, and that took me out of my comfort zone a bit. So Erin's gonna talk a little bit about that, and then I'll tell you guys more about my story, and then we're gonna dive into marketing. By the way, there's snacks there, there's coffee and tea. You're not going to get yelled at if you get up in the middle of any presentation to feed yourself. So, feel free to.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, some of you look familiar. Did some of you go to Mills already? Yeah. You look familiar for some reason.
Yeah, it's too.
Yeah, it's a small school. I graduated from Mills as well. Great, so welcome everyone to the Logie School, and thank you so much for coming. So my name is Erin Conley, and I'm the Assistant Director for the Logie School of Business and Public Policy, and I'm going to share today a little bit more about two programs that we offer. We have a one-year Master of Management and an MBA program, and thinking about your backgrounds is, Nicole shared with me that some of you are entrepreneurs and business people or interested in pursuing marketing, and all our programs can be done part-time. So I thought I'd share a little bit more about that with you to see whether or not you want to go into the marketing field or just want to take your business to the next level. So talking first about our Master of Management. So it's a one-year program designed for individuals from diverse backgrounds seeking to develop leadership and management skills. And it offers 8 concentrations, so the same concentrations that are offered to our MBA students. So you have a lot of flexibility to specialize in a specific area of study. So all students are required to take 3 courses, financial accounting, marketing management, and leadership and ethics. And then students choose between one of 2 tracks, either the quantitative track or the behavioral track. And from there they can choose from 5 electives. And it's good to note that if you pursue the quantitative track at the end of your 1 year, you can decide whether you want to graduate with your Master of Management or continue on to your 2nd year and graduate with an MBA instead. So the quantitative track is essentially the first year of an MBA program. And it's great for people who just don't necessarily want to go corporate and don't need that MBA, but just want to gather those management and leadership skills. With regard to an MBA, a common misconception about an MBA is that it's designed mostly for the for-profit sector and it's all quantitative, such as budgeting and accounting. This isn't entirely true because it's also a leadership and management degree, so I kind of conceptualize it as words mixed with numbers. So it's a degree that allows you to understand the general business knowledge to be able to run an entire business from beginning to end. And what distinguishes the Mills MBA is that we educate our students to be socially responsible and ethical leaders, and then train them as leaders to also be able to deliver strong organizational performance. Before I dive more deeply into the MBA program, I'd like to talk a little bit about the values of the Logie School. So we see extensive transformation, both personally and professionally. You may enter with a clear idea of what you want to pursue, and that's going to organically evolve as you're exposed to different people, new ideas, and new classes. And so, for example, we've had nonprofit executive directors come and take finance classes and get excited and pursue a career in wealth management. So a lot of change is involved. We also see a lot of personal transformation. Our students leave with greater confidence in their ability to become change makers. You'll also create a really vibrant network of driven and forward-thinking individuals. And because we keep our programs intentionally small, you form a really tight bond with your classmates and a really great community. And lastly, a key part is our small class sizes. And by small class sizes, I mean about 7 to 25 students. So you have that community, and you also develop a really great relationship with your faculty as well. So at Mills, we really want to help you find your passion and help you find your unique niche in business. And our faculty is really personally involved in your learning and committed to helping you, give you the time and attention that really only small class sizes can offer. So for the MBA, as I mentioned earlier, we have a special focus on supporting our students to become ethical leaders and socially responsible. So the 3 hallmarks of our program are socially responsible business, experiential learning, and a collaborative community. We use socially responsible business, which is a rather big umbrella term, and we break it down to consisting of 4 pillars, including ethical decision-making, both on the part of the manager as well as being a manager, who can inculcate the norms and values of ethical decision-making within his or her group. And the second is holding yourself accountable to leverage the power of diversity and inclusion within your organization. And lastly, the 4th is being attentive to environmental sustainability. So these 4 pillars are what we believe constitute socially responsible business. So at Mills, you get the hardcore MBA education, but we the concept of social responsibility and we embed it throughout our coursework. So whether you're in marketing or operations, our faculty are really skilled at bringing in social responsibility issues that you can tackle. Mills also has a Center for Socially Responsible Business, which supports collaborative student-faculty research, organizes workshops, and arranges internships. The center also hosts a high-profile annual conference that I all recommend you attend, and I'm happy to give you a discount or waive the entrance fee. And it's the Wilkie School of Business and Public Policy chapter of Net Impact, which is an international organization that's really dedicated to helping build a more sustainable future. So the theme from last year's conference was confronting the equity gap. So we had many panels and workshops which examined disparities across demographics and went beyond merely defining the problem to talk about what's working, what's next, and what we need to do to close equity gaps. We also provide students with extensive learning opportunities in an experiential realm. So through these internships and management practicas supervised by faculty, students act as strategists, analysts, marketers, and consultants for businesses and other organizations. One of our faculty runs a consulting group that consists of both current students and alums who work together to help social impact organizations with leadership education and mentoring, strategic advisory, and growth consulting services. So identifying what are the leadership skills they need, what tools do they need, and how do they scale their impact, which is a big challenge for a lot of nonprofit organizations. We also pride ourselves on providing a really personalized collaborative learning environment as opposed to the more traditional competitiveness present in other programs. So students really form lifelong friendships and genuinely care about everyone being successful. We also do a lot of team projects. So this picture is one of our student teams that went on to compete in the Regional Global Case Challenge. So they were selected from 4,000 applicants to compete against 17 teams from Asia and the Western region of North America. And they proposed a really compelling strategy for the NGO One Laptop per Child to expand their reach to 10 million of the world's poorest children in the next 5 years. So Mills would really understand that being a successful leader and change maker is being able to consider the client and stakeholders' perspective and understanding their needs. Looking at the curriculum, the MBA requires foundation and core courses which provide grounding of fundamental concepts that all MBA graduates are expected to master. So students develop strong foundation for effective problem framing, problem solving, and decision making through rigorous coursework in economics, accounting, quantitative methods, and finance. And some people may view an MBA program that focuses on socially responsible business as a soft program, but ours is not, because we understand that competence and good quantitative analysis are key leadership skills. If you don't understand numbers, how they influence your decision, how they influence your strategy, you're going to get stuck, and you're not going to be able to take the helm or lead in the upper levels of an organization. So we have faculty who are really skilled at giving students these these necessary quantitative skills, whether you're already strong and want to jump forward, or whether you come from a more liberal arts background and need to get to the level where you need to be. Our faculty really help our students in this area. So students work with a variety of clients in all their classes, but because this was a marketing workshop, I thought I'd highlight 2 marketing projects our students did, which was for Paw Points and Nico. So Paw Points is a loyalty program for Fresh Start Kitty Litter, which is owned by Clorox. And MBA students analyzed millions of point accumulation and redemption transactions and gathered some amazing insights. And they also optimized sign-up, retention, and kind of win-back strategies. And they even identified some program abuses that were happening that were more in the cybersecurity realm. But they said it was a really amazing project. And they also did a cool rebrand project for the Nico during their renovation. And they're still using some of our students' marketing creations. And our best students received like free hotel stays and drinks, and so it was a really fun project. And the client was really happy with the outcome, which is great. So I wanted to show some of the electives that are available to you. So there are 8 total electives, and the ones at the top, the 3, those are shared by the policy programs as well. But they're all available to our MBA students. You can specialize in a specific area, so or you can kind of divide them. So, for example, if you do the 1-year Master of Management, you have 5 electives. So if you have your own business and you want to take 3 in marketing, but 2 in social entrepreneurship, you can do that and kind of shape your education and tailor it to what you need. And I just want to show some of the careers our students go on to and look at the different sectors and show that there's a lot of variety, a lot of management or MBA programs, sometimes kind of develop students so they go into like finance or consulting. Our students show a lot of diversity, and because our students have a lot of passion and social justice orientation, a lot of them are really dedicated to a variety of different fields, particularly in the nonprofit realm, more so than other MBA programs. So here's a snapshot of some of the MBA careers. So you can see they reach positions of influence as consultants and founders and CEOs and VPs. And I love this quote by Nina Robinson, who works at ICA Fund Good Jobs, which is a really excellent organization you may have heard of that makes sure people have access to jobs with upward mobility, they get health benefits, that pay fairly. And she said, I chose Mills because it builds fearless and compassionate leaders with the necessary skills to thrive in business. And if you're interested in going into a career in marketing, many of our students also go into that field, and they work at companies like Crystal Kaiser, AT&T, and the Oakland Symphony, just to name a few. And if you want to talk to someone who's in marketing and learn more about the career you're in, I can definitely connect you with people if that's something you're interested in. So I want to talk a little bit about what we look for in our students. So one thing I really love about our program is the diversity across race, ethnicity, age, and gender spectrum. We have students who are in their 60s, we have students who are in their 30s, and I think it's really wonderful. Particularly when I was talking to a current student, I said, what did you love about the program? And she talked about the diversity and said it's really beneficial because when you're working on a particular challenge and coming up with solutions in a classroom, people contribute all these different lenses, and so you have a really broad perspective. And so we really value students when they write their statement of purpose and they interview for the program. I always encourage them to be authentic and be themselves because we really value that diversity. So also having some analytical or quantitative capacity, either in your academics or your professional work, or we understand you may come from a more liberal arts background. Collaboration skills and communication skills are really important because we have those small class sizes. So you're going to be interacting with a lot of people, so it's important to be articulate and open-minded and be able to share ideas and essentially work well with others. So if you are interested in learning more about graduate school in general, whether it's here or elsewhere, I'm happy to be of assistance. So if you want to schedule a consultation with me, we can chat more. If you'd like to visit a class to see what a management graduate degree is like, I can set you up with that. And also connect you with alums, students, and faculty. So if you want to talk to someone who's a founder of their own organization, I can connect you with them. If you want to talk to someone in marketing, I can connect you with them. So you can let me know what you're interested in, and I'll find a lot of our current student who aligns with what your interests are. And Joanna Key was actually the head of marketing for AT&T for a while. And she was interviewed by the Forte Foundation, which is a great organization that helps women enter MBAs and have career representation. And she said, don't be afraid of being front and center. You will thrive in opportunities that scare you the most. And I think that's really powerful. And I love that she said this. I think it's something we should all keep in mind. And lastly, if you are interested in applying, this is a code I created for you to waive the $50 application fee, so it won't cost you anything to apply. So if you are interested, just let me know, and I can make sure you have the financial support you need to make it feasible. Are there any questions? Perfect. All right, well, I'm going to hand it over to Nicole, actually, who graduated from our MBA program, so she can tell you a little bit about her experiences.
Okay, so I had some coffee, so I feel a little bit more alert. So a little bit about my experience here at Mills. So I started looking at MBA programs, master programs in 2011. I didn't start Mills in 2014. So it took me a while to figure out which campus was great for me. I went to go visit Stanford, I went to go visit Santa Clara, I did all those everything. And one of the first things I realized is when I went to go visit Stanford, the students who had symptoms looked exhausted. They looked like they just went through war and back. And they made it clear that you couldn't have like a personal life. I very value work-balance life. So you guys saw I'm married, I've been with my husband, we've been together for 11 years. So I really wanted to still see him and still see my family. And so when I came to Mills, the students looked like exhausted, but beautifully exhausted. They were happy. You know, there was like this glow with them. And so that's something I really enjoyed when I met them. And so when I came to Mills, I was actually working in the nonprofit sector. And I liked what I was doing, but you know when you're switching careers and you think, I like it, but I don't love it. And I was looking for a campus, a college that was going to help me figure out like what the next step was going to look like. And so I came to Mills, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by people that really empowered me to do what I wanted to do, which was really go forward with the magazine and really dive into entrepreneurship. And I do agree, it was a very diverse setting. So I had classmates that literally just graduated from undergrad. I called them like my little babies. They just graduated, but then they had a fresh new perspective or what like gave me insights for the magazine. And then I had classmates that were well into seniors into their career, and I gave them props for coming back and learning new skills. And so I got my MBA. Because instead of getting a master's in creative writing, which everyone thought I should probably get, is when I started my business, I realized I have a lot of background in the creative and the arts, but I didn't have to take accounting classes in undergrad or anything like that, and I wanted just to know the basic language. So I personally enjoyed getting an MBA. I feel like I have a better understanding of how business works as a whole. And I really enjoyed coming to Mills. It's a lot different than SF State. Like it's a quieter, smaller campus. You are going to get to know people. The people she was showing in her presentation, I'm like, oh, I know him. And he, he's just super nice. And I still got to talk to people. I went to New York earlier this year, met up with a Millsy just for lunch because she moved out there and she helped me with my project. And also, if you guys are looking, I left this program with a marketing plan and a business plan and a strategic plan, and it was part of my classmates' job to help me write it for the project. So it helped. It's a little bit about my experience here. So now we're going to dive into our marketing presentation. You guys need to get some snacks or use the restrooms. They really are just across the way, so feel free to. You guys are able to hear me, right? Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
And then, let me show this again.
I didn't think she's upstairs. Nice little break. I'm like, how do I pass this? Like this, because I work with Max, so I kind of see PC. I'm like, why? Why do you exist, PC?
Is her office upstairs?
You want me to go get her?
Yeah.
Okay, you can try. Oh wait, to operate.
Well, Nicole's coming back. Let's just do the icebreaker. It's just a really simple question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days outside. Just ask somebody close to you what's the most exciting thing that's happened to you all week. And you can spend like a few minutes just discussing that amongst yourselves. Sure. What's the most exciting thing that's happened to you all week?
I got you.
Is not a positive, exciting thing. I discussed with Amy, would you remember? Yeah, surprised I
Just show that.
Oh no, I just
I'm really sure it's gonna work. It totally works. It's really fun.
Where's she at? Where's she?
My bathroom wasn't really that big, so like recommended. They said online that whenever I was in the party, well, for 2 gallons, but it only took like a gallon or
this is the
yeah, and then you can kind of decide how opaque you want it to be. And I guess I could put one, but it was already pretty opaque. Yeah, it was cool. And then we added like flowers, nail coloring,
Yeah, they're finishing up. It's the most exciting thing that happened to you this week.
Does anybody want to share the most exciting thing that happened to them this week? You don't have to.
Hi, my name's Mary. So I would say the most exciting thing that happened to me this week was a dinner last night that we had. It was, I want to say, women of color.
Yes.
These 3 beautiful women were there. It was empowering. It was inspirational. Like I went to bed at 3 a.m. It was just so exciting to just be around like women. Yeah, it was really fun. So that was the best thing that happened to me this week.
Hi guys. The most exciting thing that happened to me this week was I got to do a really cool photo shoot with a friend. I got to do like some milk bath photography. So you have to like fill my bathtub with milk and like flowers, and yeah, it was really fun. And it was really it was another Mills woman actually who I've worked with in the past, and it was her birthday, and so we did this kind of photo shoot with her to kind of just something special for her birthday, make her feel good and empowered, and it was a really really nice experience.
Yes, I'll share. All right.
Erin went to lunch and she'll be back, so we can just
Okay.
and we can also email you the slides too.
Yeah, we made copies of them. So.
Oh, we made copies.
Yeah. So for me, the most exciting thing that I did, so I had back-to-back events with the magazine, and so getting through those two events was the most exciting thing because it takes time to plan them and organize them, and then of course we're planning them over the holiday break. I planned this event with ECL over the holiday break, our Women of Color event with Christina back there in a beautiful pink jacket, sweater over the holiday break, so just getting through. So just meeting a lot of new people, like met Mary yesterday, last night, so pretty cool. Anyone else want to share? Alright, so I'm gonna pass out, I'll pass out after that. So this whole presentation, we're gonna focus on marketing, especially digital marketing. How we broke it out is we're gonna focus on each social media channel, and then we're gonna end with a workshop where you're gonna work with Misia and I, do some more one-on-one time. Because we both felt like when you go to presentations like this, you get a lot of marketing tips, a lot of marketing tricks, and then you leave, and you're just like, okay, now what? So we wanted to give you guys some time to actually work with us and work through whatever problems you're having with your marketing plan, your promotional plan, or even your social media plan. So promotional plan goes within your marketing plan, and then ideally you have a social media protocol for each social media channel that you are on. So we're gonna focus just on those social media channels, a little overview of each one, a little bit of what we do with each one, and then we're gonna break it, you guys, into groups, and basically whoever you wanna work with, we'll just break you guys up. And it's pretty cool that it's pretty small because we were afraid that we're ooh, are we gonna have so many questions at us? So, Misia, do you want to start with, we're gonna start with email marketing and then we're gonna go into the channels, right? So she'll start with email marketing while I pass around the flyers.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, because I'm doing a live stream, so I want to just make sure that it's recording. Okay, it is. All right. Okay, so just, oh great, thanks, Erin. Merriam-Webster breaks down that the meaning of marketing, thank you, is the active process of selling or purchasing in a market, and it's a process or technique of promoting and selling and distributing a product or service. So there can be different functions of that when you're moving goods or services from a producer to a consumer. And we're just like Nicole said, we're just doing kind of cliff notes today around how, as business owners, as freelancers, marketing can be used in online to help you make your services, your products visible, and that will create a deeper client pipeline for you in the future. So with email marketing, I think some people are like, oh, newsletters are dead, there's no point, you can do everything on social media, but it doesn't hurt to have this as a channel. What I do with my newsletter that I use on MailChimp, I use it to share testimonials or case studies. So for my yoga and wellness business, I teach a restorative yoga class, which is really gentle. So I found on Harvard Medical School blog, they did a study about how restorative yoga specifically is really good for helping you with sleep, if you have anxiety, if you have insomnia. And I shared that when I started the class, and I got people about it very interested. I have and you don't need to have a huge group of people on your newsletter list. I started with just a few people that were coming to my yoga classes, and that was a few years ago, and now I have over 500 now, so there's a lot of eyeballs that are seeing all my information about my classes, my workshops, and my events that I have coming up, because not everybody's on social media, not all my students are on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And what I've also done is create a featured student of the month. So if there's a client that you want to highlight, we have graphic designers, we have a photographer here. So if there's some really great work that you've done recently and you want to share with your followers on your newsletter list, I worked with this client and this is what our day was like. They get a little bit more of a feel of what the work you do, and that might kind of create some warmth around them deciding to use you in the future and hire you for your services or your product. You can be really creative. You can create information around when and why you started your business, just to add a more human element to it, so it's not like you're selling all of your products and your services. You can share personal anecdotes about your business if there's something funny that happened or if there was a disaster that happened, and again, that ties into the storytelling. People become more familiar with you. If you're hosting a live event, maybe you can add in your email newsletter photographs or video before and after the event, and that gets people really excited about coming to your next event because #FOMO. I'm like, everybody's anxious about missing out these days because of that hashtag. But maybe somebody didn't get a chance to come to this event that you had this time, but now that they see how awesome that your event was this time around, that'll kind of invite them to come to the next events that you have coming up. I'm sorry I'm speaking fast. I'm just like, we're kind of just going to squeeze everything that we want to say because we lost a little bit of time. But like I said, you can ask us questions afterwards. We have handouts. Email. I like Aweber, which is a virtual autoresponder software, and on their blog what they shared is the tone of your writing in your email. They just asked a few questions. So does your content have rhythm? Does it capture your audience's attention? Does it have a clear call to action? And that's the biggest thing, because within the storytelling, you're sharing people about your business or your freelance services, but if you don't, the chances of them taking the next step to purchase your service or product is your call to action. And it could be simple as like a hyperlink that says, learn more here, or buy now. It's just like something that is getting them to take the next step of like, they're viewing your information, they're viewing what your services are, and here's the link to sign up for the next day. Kind of like how we did with our Facebook promotion and also the getting logged in today. So
what was that auto response?
Oh, it's called Aweber, and it's just a software that you can use to auto respond. A lot of entrepreneurs are looking at how you can create more time for yourself when you have automated systems in place. And just the next two things about email are, here are the rest of the questions. Is it consistent with your company's brand or persona? And so sometimes if you see like a competitor that offers the same services as you, you might be like, I need to set up my marketing like them because they have all these clients, X, Y, and Z, but they're doing what they need to do to get clients, and you dive deeper into what your story is so you can get the clients that will best, fit with your business and what your services are. And also free spelling, make sure your newsletter doesn't have any grammar errors or so. People kind of take that into consideration also when they're looking at your copy. And I know sometimes for me, if I'm in a rush to get my newsletter out, I'm like, I'll open my email and be like, I misspelled that, or that wasn't supposed to go there. So don't get caught up in perfection, but mostly just really look at how professional their writing is. The last couple things about email marketing are your subject lines. HubSpot is an inbound marketing blog software, or inbound marketing software, and on their blog, they have the 29 best email subject lines of 2017. And so I subscribe to quite a few newsletters because I like to read the copy and content of different businesses. And I noticed when I started putting some consideration to what my subject lines are, that'll get people, interested in opening and clicking open your email. That is, it's just called 29 Best Email Subject Lines for 2017 from HubSpot. And so the last thing is the call to action information. HubSpot has on their blog too, it's called Let the Story Come Back to the Customer with a Call to Action, and they have a great call to action example. So at the end of newsletter. If I have a workshop coming up, I might be like, oh, Hoffa Holistic enrollment starts on such and such day. Click here to join us, and that will be the call to action at the end of the email. So those are just some small tips. I think we're going to go to Facebook next, and Nicole's going to do that.
Alright, so we divvied up this presentation on which slides we want to speak to most. So ECI has done an amazing job with email marketing, more so than me. But going a little bit with email marketing, Mailchimp is a great starting point if you haven't done email. I feel like that's like the training wheels, right? So a little bit about Facebook. So all the social media slides, we're gonna just go dive into. I wanted to share with you guys some statistics. There's a million and one statistics on each social media site. But the reason why I want to give you guys some statistics is so you guys can think about your audience, your product, your brand, whatever you're trying to get, your services. And so these are just a few. And one of the ones that I think is interesting is that Facebook, even though like their audience is still slightly older, and so there's going to be a lot of younger people. So for example, my magazine, we have an array of ages. The younger audience is not necessarily going to be on Facebook, but Facebook is still is the largest social media channel. So everyone's on Facebook. They are still growing. Even in their last quarter, quarter 3, 2017, they had a 16% increase. So people are still actively going on there. So keep that in mind. Even though you might not be, your audience may not always be on Facebook. Facebook allows you to do so much with your audience because not only you can share content, you can share video, you can share images. Unlike other social media channels where it's just one type of content you can share, on Facebook there's multiple ways you can share. Now, their ages tend to be a little older again, right? 25 to 34, even a little older than that. So look at that. Look at what you're trying to sell, your brand, your product, and figure out what's the age group you really want to focus on. And then when you're doing that, of course, you dive into your analytics and see, okay, what is your audience actually doing on Facebook? What is your audience actually doing on Snapchat, right? These are just general statistics for each channel. And then you guys are going to get a step further and look at your own analytics, right? And a little bit is Thursdays and Fridays, engagement's higher. On most channels, as you get into the weekend, the engagement is higher, right? So let's think about that. One of the things I think about is, okay, Thursdays and Fridays, because engagement's higher, I might post more videos in on those days because people like videos, people like the Facebook Live, so those might be the days that I post that. And the average time spent is in 20 minutes. So when we look at that, we're going to go into some other social media channels and look at the time people spend on there. So is your content digestible within 20 minutes or less? I mean, and think about you as a user always. Do you honestly look at one thing on Facebook for 20 minutes, or is this like people are going through all of Facebook in 20 minutes, right? And how is your content going to stand out to that specific user that you have? Now, Misia is going to dive into a little bit about Facebook ads. So within Facebook, within Instagram, even Snapchat, you guys can do ads, right? And ads do help with your company. So your ads can focus on boosting a post or getting more page likes, getting more viewers to your website. So she's going to talk a little bit about that.
So back to me. So Facebook has, I think all the social media platforms, I think Twitter and LinkedIn also have you can advertise now. And for what it's worth, basically all the social media platforms are changing things with their algorithm. So it's a pay to play type of thing, and you will have to, put some money into making sure that your content is being shared across your followers, because right now just posting something organically, it might not show up in the timeline or the newsfeed of your followers. So, and you don't have to spend a lot of money actually. I've done it a few times, and you can spend less than $100, less than $50. If you're a larger company or you're doing a bigger project, you might have a slightly larger budget for Facebook ads. And I took a whole workshop on Facebook ads last year, so I'm going to give you the clip notes to that because it's really detailed and there's a lot of that can go into it. And I know it might seem overwhelming, but these are just some little tidbits that can help you. Has everybody tried Facebook ads or boosting yet? Okay. So Adaptly, which is an online service and platform for social media, they are a company that uses APIs to help companies provide social analytics for services to measure what's happening on social media. Nicole was talking about that a little bit with the insights, so you know who your followers are, how old they are, where they live. Like, you can find out all that information for free, and that'll help you create your storytelling and create your promotions a little bit better. I used Kissmetrics when I had a social media intern, and I think you used Adaptly, right? Is that the one that you used to measure your website activity? I forget which one that was. Okay, all right, cool. So there's a bunch of different ones that you can use for your website and your social media. And one thing that Adaptly did with Refinery 29, which is a fashion and lifestyle magazine, they were letting Refinery 29 know that, I think they're the #1 fashion online lifestyle publication, but they were letting people know that, Adaptly was letting them know that everyone loves a good story, so this is true when it comes to your advertising. So Refinery 29, what they were doing first to get more subscribers is just sharing content, sharing information about what's in their magazine. It wasn't like, subscribe for $9.99, like that wasn't what their ads were about. They just did a series, I think, of 12 Facebook advertisements, and that led them to over 6,000 subscribers. And then once you have that many subscribers, then you have kind of like a captive audience, and then once you have that many followers, then it'll be easier for you to gather that group and share your services with them. So if you're looking to spend a little bit of money on Facebook, there's a difference between boosted ads and the Facebook ad itself. A boosted ad is you can pay Facebook to boost or promote your content on your business page, and in exchange, Facebook can search your boosted posts in the newsfeed of selected users. So it's not necessarily a pay-per-click campaign, but you'll get more impressions and you'll get more likes, more shares, and people will see the information a little bit more than if you just created an organic post. They show up higher in your newsfeed. You can control the budget based on how many people you want your post to reach. And with a Facebook ad, that's like kind of like the SUV of spending money on Facebook. So the ads might be like, okay, well, I want my newsletter to get a little bit more viewership, so I'm going to spend $5 or $10 just to boost. I'll share my newsletter on my Facebook page, and then I'll spend like, $10, $20 or something on that. For your Facebook ad, you control the timing of the communication, so it's a little bit different than Google AdWords. Your Facebook page allows you to make more precise targeting. So if I own a health club or a fitness center or a gym, and I'm like, I want to advertise to people who are into personal training, they're over 40, they have knee pain, they like to knit, they live in a 10-mile radius, like you can fine tune who you want to reach with your Facebook ad in that way. It's recommended that you use video more than just text or photos alone. And again, creating more persuasive storytelling with that. And I know for people who are interested in yoga and wellness and things like that, they want an emotional connection to things so that they can, I feel like when I'm in a yoga studio, it's like everybody has an open heart versus if I was like at a CrossFit gym or something like that. So you just knowing your audience a little bit more. And I can go into more of that, but I want to get to Instagram, and I think Instagram is next, right? Yeah. And I'm doing that one too, right? So, has anybody tried the Instagram stories yet? Has anybody used that? Okay, yeah. I like watching yours. Yours are really always cool. And you have an intern during yours, right? She was baking cupcakes, and it was cool.
I think you guys are ever looking for interns for your business. I know a lot of undergrad students that are always looking
There we go, Aaron. Gotcha.
And I have a good filler system, like as I'm saying, like big people. And so I got an intern, and like they're only with me for 3-4 months. I was like, or so bad that she's gone, because she's the one that really forced me to do Instagram stories. I'm only 32, guys, but I felt super old in case Instagram stories. Like, I don't want to do this. But she would take it over, and she would just do like cooking, like, and I'm like, that's good. I don't cook. I'm super hungry. This is my food for but yeah, just having interns do, Instagram stories, I think it's good. It shows like a little background of your magazine or your product. But yeah, Instagram stories, I'm starting to dig a little bit more and more because they give, especially like bigger brands, if I tag them, I get more feedback from like bigger companies, like Fresh Beauty. They said like they really like that I mentioned them. So I thought, I personally, because I use Snapchat and Instagram stories, I feel like Instagram stories, I get more connection to bigger brands and like maybe partnerships, while Snapchat, I get more of a connection to like followers and peers.
And then Nicole's going to talk about Snap. Did you have a question?
I don't understand what it is.
Oh yeah, I'm about to explain it. I just wanted to share how I love Nicole's Instagram stories. But Instagram stories, if you're familiar with Snapchat, Instagram's always trying to like make sure that they're better than Snapchat. But it's a 24-hour episodic reel of pictures and videos that it doesn't show on your main feed on Instagram, but there's an icon that you can go to. I think it's your profile picture, and you click on that. So if you wanted, what is your business?
Children's book.
Oh, okay, good. So if there's some new children's books coming out this year, and you wanted to use your Instagram story to highlight the authors in the books that are coming out this year, then you could take pictures or video or interview the authors, and then I think each reel is like a minute, and then you can have, I think it's limitless how many videos and how many pictures you can have, so people will be able to see it for 24 hours. But now they have something called highlights, so you can keep that on your page, and it doesn't expire, it doesn't go away. I'm going to dive a little bit more into that, but
Can I make a comment about highlights?
yeah.
So I have a friend who's a DJ, and traditionally, I guess the way DJs would work is, like you go to a bar or restaurant, and like there's no real way for them to really listen to your music unless you give them a tape. But what he was telling me was now because of highlights, he just puts little snippets of the music that they create on their highlights. So now if he's talking to a restaurant or a brand or someone, he can just say, oh, go to my Instagram, and you just click on my highlights and you can set my music.
That's smart. I
thought that was
that's a good one. And Carmen showed you how to okay. Isn't it cool? So the ways that you can use it could be behind the scenes, like how to cook cupcakes. It could be if you have a rehearsal for a show, Carmen, and you can show that behind the scenes. How to use your product. If you want to promote your blog more, you can sample some of your blog posts and then use you can hyperlink you can guide people back to your blog in your stories and your highlights. If you have a promotion or a sale coming up, you can use your stories and your highlight for that. And there's limitless things you can do with it. Giveaways, discounts. If you want to share statistics with your industry, you can do that. If you want to, for me, I like to share, I don't do it as much as I used to, but if you want to share, nothing about your business, but you want to share inspirational quotes, or motivational quotes, you can put that on your highlights and on your story as well, which your audience will appreciate. And what I got to do for the first time with Nicole is an Instagram takeover. So she gave me the login information to her Instagram or her Snapchat, but she'll talk about Snapchat. But you can do that with Instagram too. There's Snapchat takeovers and there's Instagram takeovers. So I do a hashtag Wednesday Wellness every Wednesday. So she let me share that with her audience. I still do it on my Instagram for my wellness business. And I was talking about body positivity earlier, the Body Positive, which is a Bay Area based nonprofit. They focus a lot on body image and eating disorders, and I was able to take over their Instagram over the summer
and do a series of takeovers with them. And also, for wellness folks, if I like to share meditations on my SoundCloud page, so maybe I'll have a sample of my guided meditations on my Instagram story. And a few more things before we go into Snapchat. You can, I already talked about highlights. You can drive web traffic, so if you want to just put your website information, or if you're relaunching your website, you can share that on your stories. If you want to do a recap of an event, you can put that there. There's a blog I like called OK Africa, and they share a lot of different blogs over the week. And so what they do with their stories is they share, like, maybe there's 10 blog posts that they had this week. They might list 3 or 5, and then they'll share the link so you can see the rest. So you can have like these teaser elements on your stories so people can go back to your website. And again, so maybe you're personally doing a selfie and you're sharing with people how you overcame a problem and you solved it. Or for me, over the years teaching yoga, people have been like, since I started coming to your class, I have less anxiety, my blood pressure has gone down, and I might share with a testimonial on my story. So those are some of the many ways that you can start to highlight your business and what's going on with your business with the Instagram stories. And now we'll talk about Snapchat, which is similar, but there's some differences.
Snapchat. But a little bit about Instagram, I wanted to point out a couple of things that I thought were interesting. So a lot of the most popular brands, they think about, every brand thinks about their channel, right? They use the same filters. They post at the same time. They are really, thinking about it. So for myself, in the magazine, we talk about a lot of different topics. Travel, relationships, I interview a lot of different women. However, to show all of that on Instagram and photos will make my brand look sort of like all over the place. So I have to take a step back and really think and talk to some of my interns or talk to other entrepreneurs and really come down to like what are 1, 2, maybe 3 things for my Instagram account, and those are the type of photos I would share. So like women empowerment, travel, books, anything motivational. So anything along those lines. So that really helped me figure out what I'm going to show on Instagram. So all your social media channels in a way are snippets of your bigger brand, and you just have to decide which type of audience is on that social media channel, what you want to show them. Now we're going to go a little into Snapchat. So I know when Snapchat came out, everyone was like, this is for teenagers, this is for teenagers to do naughty things, so that way their parents don't know. And I had my 19-year-old sister show me how to use Snapchat, like over a year and a half ago, because I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I want the dog on my face. I want to get the dog on my face. And so she had to really, she's like, are you serious? And I felt like, oh my God, am I like the next generation? I don't know how things work now. But what I personally liked about Snapchat was just like the creativity and also how more relaxed I felt on Snapchat. Because Snapchat, unless people save it or you share it to your memories, it does for the most part go away in 24 hours, right? So you can feel a little bit more, I feel a little bit more relaxed about your brand, and you can really showcase who you are as a person. Compared to Facebook, Instagram, or even YouTube, I have to have like a certain type of persona for the magazine. But with Snapchat, I'm able to do a lot of behind the scenes things. So get to show a little bit about my day, get to show about what goes into the magazine, show off like events, but get to do it in a fun, creative way. And then I'll save some of the memories so that way I can share them on other social media channels. So usually what I would do is I would save them and then share them on my Twitter account. Because I know everyone's always thinking about what am I going to share on Twitter. So I'll just save that story and then share it on Twitter. It's all about, not recreating content. It's all about like refurbishing like the content in multiple ways. So as you guys know, it is the most popular network for people under 24. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not trying to reach like teenagers or like young adults. However, they're like the growing adults, right? They're going to grow into your product. So me personally, when I use Snapchat, I know my audience is younger, but also my audience is more national. Like, it's just so much easier for people to get a hold of me on Snapchat. I I have made so many connections with people in New York and Texas, just via Snapchat, then taking over and building that wider community. And then I also have a younger audience who may not read the magazine, but they're supportive of it, and they're going to share it with like friends, like maybe their older friends that might be interested in reading articles, but they're still really supportive of the magazine. They're still part of like my audience. So I then look at my statistics. So what I realized is on my website analytics, I found it interesting that before my main audience was between 25 and 34, and then the 35 to like 45, the next age bracket was always higher than the younger age bracket. Then I started to realize the more I did on Snapchat, the more I did Instagram stories, that younger age bracket was like getting higher than the older age bracket. And then I can also see that some of those people were going to Facebook. So I personally like it. I know as a business they are struggling. Their stock prices are not doing so well, but I think it's going to take them a while to actually, get out of the game. And then a lot of times, what I also like about it is that we're a business. So the average Snapchat user spends 25 to 30 minutes on the platform every day. So when I'm watching people's snaps, I don't know how many of you guys know Snapchat? There's a good amount. So when I'm watching people's snaps, there's no ads. Facebook has a bunch of noise coming at me. Instagram has a bunch of distraction. If I'm watching someone's particular snap story, nothing's distracting me from that story. I can't see other people's stories while I'm watching that story. There's going to be an ad. The ad's going to come in between person A and person B's story. So I'm really engaged with what that person is talking about. Now I know we're giving you guys a lot of facts and a lot of like how to use these social media channels. So when we're going to meet up, also one of the things I do for each of my channels, which I think is a good starting off point, you have your marketing plan, you have your promotional plan, but really coming up, like sitting down with other entrepreneurs and coming up with like a protocol for each social media channel. So for example, Instagram, you write it down and it's like your business protocol of the days you're going to post, the filters you're going to use, the hashtags you're going to use. You do some study with those hashtags. This is why interns are helpful, because then they can do the research on hashtags for you, like they can do the little things like that. But coming up with a protocol for each one. Snapchat, which filters you're going to use, how often you're going to post. For Instagram stories, I only post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Snapchat, I post every day. But I have it written down where this is what I'm going to do. Because as entrepreneurs, as business owners, a lot of it just falls on you. And you only have so much time in the day. So if you have it written down and you have it in your mind, like I've had days where I'm not having a good day, and I'm like, it's Thursday and I have to do Instagram stories. I'm going to wake up. I've talked to Christine about this. I'm going to put on some like makeup and I'm going to look like I'm having an amazing day because I have to post this for my business. And it's Snapchat. But sometimes on Snapchat I do snap and I'm in pajamas. And I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I'm in my pajamas right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about YouTube. I love YouTube. I love being on camera. I think I always love being in front of the camera. But YouTube, they are growing. They are trying. So after them and just Google search are always fine. They're owned by Google. People go to those two channels to search for whatever, how to fill in the blank, right? My MBA program, I did a lot of YouTube search. How to do this? But YouTube, it is important to be on video. So whether that is Facebook Live, whether that is Instagram Story, but having a YouTube channel is, I know it's very daunting. People don't always want to be on camera. How often do you post? Am I even that interesting? How narcissistic can I be? Like, I'll give you some, narcissistic personality if you need it. But it is important for your business just to have some video content out there. So if you don't want to have your own channel, some ways you go around that is partnering up with people that already have channels is just make it part of your business plan that once a month you're going to be on someone else's channel. So that might require you guys to do some leeway work into partnering up with people, emailing them, organizing the time you're going to be with them. But 1 month you might do a video with me, and the next month you might do a video with Christina. But at least you're out there, and then you can share those videos in your other social media channels. Instead of you having to dedicate a whole channel for yourself, because I know for a lot of people that is exhausting, that is taxing. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy. So YouTube has almost like as many users as Facebook. It has 1 billion monthly active users. I watch people's YouTube videos like all the time. And then they have like 40 minutes, right, on a day, and it's on mobile. People are always going to be watching videos. What I also like about YouTube is I love the fact that you can reach an array of audience, right? People from my 21-year-old, so she's 21 on Wednesday, she's all excited that she turned 21. From my 21-year-old sister to my 65-year-old dad, they are both using YouTube. They're on YouTube for different reasons though, right? They're looking for different research. And I love the fact that YouTube reaches such an array of people, right? Because it's easy for people just to search something, right, online. So that the younger audience might be doing it on their phone, the older audience might be doing it on their desktop, but the audience is there. So how I use YouTube, again, how I was talking about with Instagram, I was very specific on certain things I want to show. So on YouTube, I just do book reviews and beauty product reviews, right? Those aren't the only things that's on the magazine, but those are topics that are part of the magazine. So I made it part of my business plan and my marketing plan that those topics I'll do videos on. And I'll do it once a week. And it does take time, it does take energy, and I have to figure out like the filming and build up my equipment. Like when I started doing YouTube videos, I did it like with my laptop. I look at the old videos and I'm like, this is not good quality, but you gotta start somewhere, and then I got better equipment. So I know a lot of times people are scared to start because they feel like they might not have the best equipment. I know, Christina, you just started a YouTube channel. If you want to discuss any like fears that you may have, I don't need to be on spot.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest fear for me was just like, so I watched like a ton of, so I do beauty mostly, and when I first started kind of getting into the YouTube scene, like I saw what a lot of the established beauty bloggers were doing, and I started thinking, oh my god, I need to be like that, you know, like I need to spend tons of money on equipment, I need to spend tons of money on lighting, but then I just started researching and looking how, and I saw how expensive it was, and I was like, I can't afford to make this investment right now. I was actually talking to someone on Instagram earlier today who's asking me, like, how did you start your YouTube channel? So, like, all I did was I literally, like, just made sure that I had good lighting, and I used the same camera that I was using for my fashion blogging, and I just kind of rented it. And, I mean, I don't know, like, for me, like, I don't like making investments unless I know for a fact, like, okay, this is something that I absolutely want to do. So, I mean, it was, like, a lot of trial and error. Like, my first couple videos were, like, garbage because the lighting wasn't good enough, but then it was okay because then I was like, I'm just starting, so I need to figure out like where my pitfalls are in order to improve and all that stuff. So it's a lot of like trial and error, and what works for one person might not necessarily work for someone else. And just kind of depending on like if you're beauty, if you're gaming or cooking, it's like it's different for all industries.
Yeah. So again, everyone is going to be on YouTube. So whether you're going to create your own channel or really think about like how you can be on other people's channels, and that way you can also have content to share on your other social media channels. So I'll be talking a little bit about Twitter. So Twitter is interesting. I feel like a lot of people, I don't know how you guys feel, are not excited about Twitter. Either people use it or they don't use it. I rarely find someone that's like in the middle or that's like, oh, it's okay. Twitter is here to stay. I know a lot of people are like, they're going to go. But it's like, okay, the same people that are saying they're going to go, like, people are still having conversations there. What I like about Twitter is I feel like Facebook, I'm giving people my whole story, right? I'm sharing the content, I'm sharing the videos, I'm sharing about me. They're getting a lot of me, right? Snapchat became more personal. Instagram became specific things that I talk about with magazine. Twitter is more of I'm talking to like my 10-year-old niece that I have to do like spurts, because I'm gonna lose like her interest. And I feel like that's what I use Twitter for. I'm giving information throughout the day, so you can schedule with all these things, right? You can schedule out your posts. So with Twitter, it's like, I'm going to be to share a Snapchat video, or I might pose a question. It's a lot of different ways to engage them, but you do it quickly and you do it really often, right? So I think ideally it's cool if you do like 10 tweets a day, if you schedule them out, and they're like different things that you're doing throughout the day. And some of my favorite people I follow on YouTube, their Twitter account is, not just their videos, but they'll post questions like random random questions, like hot dogs or tacos, and they get so many responses, right? But they're engaging with their audience, and that's how they engage. So Twitter is very brief conversations with people, and that's what I like about it. And that way, I could, if I have something that just crosses my mind, I can just do it right then and there. Also, with Twitter, you have to remember that it is compared to all the other social media channels, they have the most male users. And I know sometimes I was doing like this class, I was teaching a blogging class at the Women's Center here in Oakland, and a lot of them were like, well, I don't sell to men. My product isn't for men, right? And I'm like, yes, I know your product isn't for men, but you're going to want investors and sponsors, and some of those positions are held by men. So you're going to have to be under, and I found it really funny the other day. My husband and I, I'm like, we are really playing our gender stereotypes. We're both on our phones, we're not engaged with one another, we're both thinking better with our phone like this, and we're hoping the phone does not follow us. And I'm on Instagram liking people's photos, and he's on Twitter, and he's like, that's how he knows about Christina's stuff. He doesn't go to Christina's Facebook or Instagram, and she's like, she's killing it on Twitter. And I'm like, that's how he knows. And most of his friends are like, that's how we're going to know what's happening on Twitter. We're not going to go through everyone's photo, but if you give us a cool link or a cool link to a video or to an article, and it's there, I'm going to use it. So keep that in mind. Just because it's not your primary audience, they might be part of your secondary audience. Workshop time. All right, and we did it just right on time. I love it. Awesome. All right, so we're going to break up into groups.
Do we need to break up since it's small?
Let's just all hang out. So use this time to either really got a lot of information, right? And you're like, what next? Use this time to work on parts of your marketing plan. So all this social media stuff is part of your marketing plan. It's not your whole marketing plan. Please keep that in mind. Your marketing plan should have research, and it should have, in that research should have like analysis, and you should really dive into like everything that's going to be part of it. This is a part of your marketing plan. Yes, go.
So one of my questions was, out of all of these breakouts, if you had to choose your top three, which ones would you recommend of all of them?
My top 3 channels?
Yeah.
You want to both answer? Because I think we're going to have different answers.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. The top 3 that I would use, like if I were to just start over again.
And so my thing is, children's books, you're going to have the nail polish, which is totally different. Children's books, what would be your top 3?
Facebook, because of just the partnerships and the parents that are buying the books. YouTube, you would be surprised of how many times people watch a YouTube video of you reading a book.
So I do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't show my face.
Yeah. Because honestly, you can even
So keep doing that.
Keep doing that, because I watch a lot of people read books. I don't know why. I just have the relaxing voice, They have a relaxing voice and the book is good. I'm going to sit there. Or if I'm watching my nieces and nephews and I want to be a horrible aunt, I'm like, watch this person read the book. Okay.
That really helps me though. Now I don't feel like I'm doing it in vain, because I already do that for some of the books.
Yeah. So
that's great resource for parents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's perfect. You can read it, and you can take pictures of the book of each page and be like a voiceover, and then you can add some animation to the story if you want.
Okay,
that's a good idea. So for
keep that in mind next time.
Yeah, and then for the books, Instagram, right? Because the Instagram can be books, it can be people reading the books, it can be just you reading. It doesn't always have to be your books, but it's like books, right? And then for the nail polish remover, so she has a story nail polish remover business. Instagram stories, like all day, every day. I will watch you use it all the time. You're taking off your nail polish with the soy nail polish remover. So Instagram stories with Instagram, and then because you can also make photos of the nail salons that carry it, right? So, but then that, I definitely think YouTube, but maybe not a whole YouTube channel with that. If you could give your product to other beauty bloggers and it's like a sponsored thing, and they use it. And then you can share those videos on your Facebook or on your Twitter account. So I would definitely use those. And then just Facebook, because it's so easy to do a business page, and again, you're going to have a lot of partnerships come through like Facebook, right? Because a lot of times when you look up businesses, even just like, Joe Schmo's like towing company, let's think about when you're a user, you're going to see if they have a Yelp page or a Facebook page to make sure that they're a real business. So I would say those would be my 3. So take this time to either work on part of your marketing plan, or because we give you a lot of social media channels, maybe take this time to work on 1 or 2 protocols for your social media channels. I'm going to try to pull up one of my protocols so that way you guys have an idea of how it looks, and then maybe my marketing plan. And then Misia and I will be walking around. We're going to be here till,
Do we want to do like another round of Q&A? Do people have more questions before we dive into
ask
that?
questions.
Yeah. Or Carmen? Okay.
I'm like looking at my question page. What's up?
I know, I love the fact that you're having I love it.
Like, is it worth it doing all those small posts? Like, if you don't have a big audience, like, to start with, sometimes I would do in my highlights, it's like, I have like 100 followers right now. Like, does that really matter at the smaller stages?
So, when I answer, go.
Can I say, so I have about 12,000 Instagram followers. Just because I have 12,000 doesn't mean that 12,000 comes to my, my sites. I'm kind of averaging at around 100 to 150 likes. But on my Insta stories, I was maybe getting 50. And since I post a lot, I post me taking a shower, me going to the gym, me walking in here, me driving up in here, her talking. I get 200 or 300 more views, which pushes to my numbers and pushes to my likes and my followers. So I personally have found that me posting a lot of my Insta stories has pushed people to my site, pushed people to my blog, pushed people to my business. Because they love me and being quirky and think I'm weird, but they can't see if they're just looking at a cool, curated Instagram post.
So it's it's the personal touch.
Totally. You can totally just be yourself.
And then, remember Christina and I, we were talking about engagement the other day? Some brands, you might feel like certain brands and influencers have X amount of number, but their engagement rate might be really low. Versus if you have a smaller number of followers, their engagement rate is pretty high. Other brands are looking at brands are always looking at engagement rate, right? They look at your number first, but they really are caring if all right, if you have 1 million followers, right? But your engagement rate is maybe 5% or something. That's not great for that. But they rather have someone that has 500 followers and their engagement rate is at least 20 to 30% or something.
Same thing with email, because it doesn't matter how many people are on your list. It's even if you have 15 to 20, 25% of the people on your list opening, that's still pretty good. It doesn't have to be 100% click opens for your email. So don't get fooled by the numbers necessarily.
Oh, you want to ask? Yeah,
Sure. A large part of my market is marketing professionals in educational educational support organizations, educational nonprofits, and I'm also looking for marketing directors in museums, fine arts, and equitable housing nonprofits. What would you suggest to reach marketing professionals? I think that they're going to actually be one of the few groups that are really interested in an e-newsletter because they look at them all the time to get ideas. Yeah. But that's kind of as far as I get when I start thinking about that.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
So I agree. Because people tend to open their emails, right? And especially if you're sending it to maybe their work email address, they're gonna open it up. So I think email newsletters is gonna be a main thing. We didn't get to talk about LinkedIn, but LinkedIn now has LinkedIn groups, right? I know. I said LinkedIn and trying to make a face. So, for example, I worked in the nonprofit sector for about five years before I dived into entrepreneurship, and I did a lot of community engagement. And so I worked with also a lot of marketing directors in the nonprofit world, especially in education. And so I know the easiest way
if I wanted to engage with them, it's either gonna be email, even like maybe a text campaign, maybe on their phone numbers, or LinkedIn. Facebook, they would use, because also Facebook has now Facebook Jobs. They would use that to maybe find opportunities and start thinking a little bit more seriously. But like if they're using Instagram and Twitter and stuff, they're not using that to find like their next position. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think with Facebook, they'll be a little bit more inclined to like look and see what you're offering. Because I even know like the Facebook groups, so like Hire Club or Women on 415, they're big groups of like hiring professionals. I would go to those Facebook groups and I get posts all the time on like different positions that people are like looking for, and people are looking for marketing directors, people are looking for revenue analysis, people are looking for that. So I think also your Facebook plan might also have to focus on having a protocol for like Facebook groups, like the groups you want to be a part of. That's what happens.
LinkedIn also has podcast. Video.
Yeah. Live video now. Do you guys know that Facebook now or LinkedIn has live videos? Yeah, so it works better now. iOS phone, so Apple phone. So they launched that in Q3 of last year. They're really trying to be more engaging, not just like sort of the button up kind of social media channel. So now you guys can do LinkedIn live videos, and I think those are so great to do because it's a professional channel. So how I'm using it is I'll interview different women, and that's still part of my brand. But then my LinkedIn audience now gets to really see like what I do. Because if you think about it, LinkedIn, I personally feel like it was one of my least utilized social media channel that I was using. However, I have like over 800 connections on LinkedIn. And I'm like, some of them know what I'm doing, a lot of them don't really know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I need to start utilizing this platform more. Because I know a lot of times people use like LinkedIn, it's like boring, you just post. It's just about jobs, you only go there when you're like looking for a job. Please don't be that person, people know when you're doing that. But I think there's ways to use LinkedIn now to work with your business. So that's also another thing. You can do like live videos of maybe like professionals that you work with, or like organizations you work with, and what's so great about this organization. I really like it. I think if you guys follow String Story, follow her on Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, String Story. Her whole hashtag is fried chicken.
Yes.
She's one of the co-founders for the Women in Tech Snapchat channel. She does amazing LinkedIn live videos. And she also String Story.
Like string, like a shoestring? Okay.
Definitely like with her. She's just so, and I talked to her over the phone. She's from Australia, but she'll connect with you guys if you really want to, but she's very professional on point. But her LinkedIn live videos, she's done an amazing job utilizing that tool. Definitely watch some of her videos and connect with her.
Do they get archived so that you can watch them later, or they stop existing after they're done?
Yeah. So her videos, she still saves them, so I can see them up top on her LinkedIn. So.
On the topic of LinkedIn too, with video too, you can have. So what I did with the videos that you and I did on Facebook Live, speaking of repurposing, so I did the Facebook Live, I put them on YouTube, and then I also put the audio on SoundCloud, and now I have those videos on my LinkedIn. So when you see my bio, you can also see those videos. So I agree with Nicole too that like I wasn't using LinkedIn that much, but now I'm like, oh, this is also like can be a gold mine also, just figuring out what all the new features are now.
You know how to cast?
Oh, to go back to the slide?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there when she did it. She just pushed one button.
It was simple.
Right? I want
to make it hard, like wiggle things, make it look like something that I could do.
Yeah, and she walked away happy.
I know these things are I'm sure.
So I want to share with you guys my history.
I can go to her office.
Yeah. So I showed you guys what an Instagram profile looks like. So, yeah.
Quick question about Instagram. We're talking about ads. I've been like approached by other accounts being like, "Let me feature you, but pay me."
Oh,
Is that trustworthy?
Like, it depends. Like, one time I got someone reached out to me like, "I want to feature you in my book, but you have to pay like $200-something." And I'm like, that's not as true like partnership. You know, I've already created the content. You're just gonna refurbish it. Like, we could do some kind of trade because they're sharing your content. I feel like they should be paying you, not the other way around. Or you're just doing some kind of trade. I know Christine does a lot of partnerships. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
So I do, I'll do like guest blog posts, which is helpful because like you can get exposure obviously to someone else's audience. So like I'll do exactly like with what you said. Like I'll share the content, I'll share the photos and all that. And it kind of depends on like which brand I'm working with. If it's like a larger brand, then I might do it for free just because the advantage to me is that now I get exposure to, this brand's audience. So if it's a smaller brand, then I do have a rate sheet that I would provide, to like smaller brands where I know that I can provide some value to them. So then I will charge them. So I kind of do it on like a case by case.
But yeah, I wouldn't be paying them to feature me. Because anything about this way, when you are like approaching like Pop Sugar or Vice News and you want to give them content, they're paying you for the content, right? You're not paying them to feature you. So it's sort of backwards thinking. But yeah. Any other questions?
I just have one more that Lisa was talking about. So I love the why story, and I shared it maybe like once or twice in my Facebook. But is that something that I can constantly like share on my posts? Because there's like this myth that you shouldn't. I don't know. I always thought you shouldn't do that.
Share the why of like.
Well, like. Constantly. Like, once you do a post, let's say you did the post, leave it alone, don't go back to that subject. But the why is important, and sometimes I do feel like I should be doing it at least once a month, especially because Facebook, so many people go on there, and they might...
Because you can also just sort of like refurbish it, like in a way, like, for example, I'll tell people multiple times in the year, like, why the magazine's named what it is, or why you need to do this. But it could be like, if you're doing it once a month, that's fine. It could be, because you could, especially on Facebook, right? You could do the why in text, you could do the why via article, you could do the why via photo, you could do the why via video. So it's not going to come off as like the same content over and over again.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then that way you can share like, okay, in that month, maybe something wonderful happened, right? You did a really good sell. And then that could be part of your why story for that like month, Or it could be your why story is like, I failed epically this month, right? But I'm going to keep going. That's something I really love. I love it when people are very honest about like what they failed at with their business. I really enjoy that. I kind of looked that up on like YouTube. Very few people actually are honest about that. Like they always want to share like top 5 mistakes entrepreneurs do. Like it's like on them instead of like talking about like, well, did you do any of these mistakes? Don't make me feel bad where I'm like, oh my god, I did all 5. Yeah, so I think, you guys have till 3. Missy and I are going to be like around. I definitely want to give you guys some time to like really sit down and really think about like what each social media channel is going to look like for you and which ones you want to start on. In an ideal world, everyone's like, you want to be on every channel everywhere. But especially if it's just you and you're starting off, really reevaluate of like which channels you want to really focus on this year. You might be on all of them, but which one this year you're really going to like, this is my baby and I'm going to really pay attention to this one, at least for like the quarter 1, right, of this year. Because that way you can break it up. Yeah.
Question. So I blogged box going pretty good, insurance going pretty good. I need to focus on Facebook. I know what I need to do. I just have to actually do it. Same thing is YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel. I get an X amount of hits, but I kind of know the formula of growing each of my accounts. But I don't really know the formula of growing my YouTube account. So how can I attract more users to my YouTube channel?
Yeah, you know what? That's something I'm still personally trying to figure out, like how I can track. But I would honestly
like how I'm approaching it is, you know, just doing some research on it, reading like different articles, but also maybe research, like, if there's other YouTube stars that you follow that you really like, you know, YouTube community is such a friendly community, I feel like, so emailing some people and just asking them how did they grow their channel, because at the end of the day, it's like creating content and it's like creating how much content you want to create, you know, but some people might they might do the same thing you're doing just a little bit differently, and that might be working for them. YouTube.
I think YouTube also,
The YouTube is doing so many weird things with her.
they have ads now too, and they have live streaming too. So how many subscribers do you have on YouTube right now? That's a good number. So if you wanted to, like, there's some influencers I watch and like I get a notification if they're doing a live video. So that brings me. Yeah, there's a YouTube live feature now. Yeah, and then you can just interact with them in real time.
Everyone wants to be like you know?
It's everything's real time at this point too. That's very helpful. And I think there's ways, I know they're changing it. A lot of the like YouTube stars that have like millions of followers, there's monetization, and I think they've changed that a little bit. Like people aren't making as much money, but if you wanted to let YouTube know that, you know, you have a big platform on Instagram and you want to develop your YouTube followers, you might be able to talk with somebody from YouTube and be like, what is it that I can do to create more visibility and more viewership on my YouTube page? Yeah.
So just kind of knowing that there are so many live options now, how do you even figure out like which one
Is your best one? I'm always looking at like how many followers I have on each channel and how many engaged followers I have. So for example, my Twitter account for the magazine and my personal, they grow by themselves. I don't do a whole lot. Like I post on Twitter, but I don't do as much babysitting as I do with like Snapchat and Instagram, right? They just grow. But because even though the number is pretty high, I'm not going to do a lot of live videos there because the engagement isn't there. The number's high, but the engagement isn't there. They're fine how it is. But with everything else, like with Facebook Live, I try to do, especially Facebook Live on my personal account, and then sharing it on the magazine account because I have a lot of like friends and influencers on my personal account, and then I can just share it on my business account. So I always look at the number and the engagement rate of like seeing what is the best, and then also the content you want to share, right? If I have like a lot of things I want to tell people, I'm gonna do Facebook Live. But if I want to do something quick and short, maybe Q&A, I might do like Instagram Live, right? But I'm not gonna give you my whole background story on Snapchat or Instagram stories or Instagram Live, because that's the audience. The user that's going there, you're not going there for that. You know, when I'm going to Instagram stories, I want something quick, brief, sort of like a how-to. But if I'm doing a Facebook Live, like I'll sit there and I'll watch it. You know?
I would say for you with your beauty business, Instagram would be nice, especially if you do like it, because you can. Instagram Live has a new feature where two people can go live together, then they'll follow you, or you know they'll be able to look at the interview and see your brand, and that might bring more people to you. I don't do Instagram Live as much. I do Facebook Live more. The last couple of workshops that I've hosted, I did a Facebook Live at the venue, and that got more people to sign up and subscribe. And I think Facebook Live is the hot one right now because Twitter had Periscope. I tried Periscope a few times and I didn't get much engagement there. So I think
I joined Periscope right when it was about to end.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
It was on for like a quick second, I felt like, and then all of a sudden Facebook's like, well, Twitter can't beat us. So
Exactly. And I might try YouTube Live. I think that's something I wanted to do this year, just to see how it is. I don't have a lot of followers there, but that was LinkedIn and YouTube are the two platforms that I haven't used as much. So I'm looking this year to create more engagement there as well.
And then when you're thinking about your live videos, again, you can put that into your plan or to your protocol. I'm all about like writing things out. I don't know if like the older sister is coming out, but write things out, have a plan. Because when you're live, you know you're going to be live, right? So you have to pick the day and the time and a location where you can feel comfortable being like who you are. You're not doing a video where you can go back and edit, right? It's all on the spot. So then also there's going to be certain topics, you know, that you can do live, and then there's going to be topics that you can't do live. So, for example, like I'm not going to do a whole book review live, But I might, have like an author with me live. That might be more engaging. But, a book review, I'm gonna do like more like a video and have some editing and add some like a little more pizzazz to it. So that's another thing about, like, you have all these live channels you're gonna be on. However, what are the topics you're gonna write out? And I think one of the great ways to dive into that is think about like the first 5 topics you wanna do live. Or even if you just wanna do a regular YouTube video channel, 5 videos you wanna do that you can do, that you are not gonna strain yourself trying to find like product and like location. Leading to like today, what 5 videos can you do easily?
I have one more thing to add to that. Since you said you have like 12,000 followers on Instagram, I would maybe like be like, hey guys, what are your like, what do you have any questions about? Okay, and then be like, head over to YouTube. I'm about to share blah blah blah.
I don't do that. I don't.
Oh, you don't.
Blog
Okay.
And
Okay.
I actually told myself today I was going to, because I have a big post. Instagram has just like flourished. It's really like I did an Insta story and I showed somebody. I was driving on the way to the gym and I'm an artist, so I had some of my art in my back seat. By the time I got to the gym, 2 minutes later, somebody messaged me and said, "Show me some of your art."
Wow.
So then I pulled out the art and like showed some of the art, and then I'm walking to the gym and a duck attacks another duck. Somebody messages me and it's like, "Oh my god, exactly." It's like Instagram really just blew with the Insta story for me. It did, but I have not utilized it with like my blog. And that's really where my main source of income kind of comes from right now. Well, with this stuff. So yeah, I think that's what I'm like today. I told myself on my list of like, I get home after this, I'm doing it.
Cool.
So I see people are like, my new blog post, swipe up or check out click in the bio, and I just never do it. And it's so silly. Why would I not? I'm gonna be following. They love me. Let's go.
Exactly.
Well, because it also comes down to like you have to constantly change the link and like and then you always like have a fear of am I sharing too much? Am I too much in people's face? And at the end of the day, it's like people forget you the second they stop watching your like Instagram, right? So they're not gonna always think like you're in their face. So. And then with Instagram, one of the things I think why it flourished is because it asks their audience to do so little compared to Facebook. Facebook is content, video, photos, gifts. It's like everything. It is your mother. It is your grandmother. Everyone. It is your very Republican, like second cousin that lives in rural Texas. You're like, why are we related? But it's everybody, right? On Instagram, it's like, this election, like I'm like, oh, I know who I'm not gonna reunion. But with Instagram, it's very easy. Like all they're asking their users to do is like. You don't even have to comment all the time. It's like if the photo gets a lot of like little hearts, and it's like makes you feel good because you're giving someone like love. And then okay, I'll watch people's stories if like I really want to watch their story. But you're not giving me their story always my face. And so I think that's why Instagram has flourished so well, is because it's asking the audience, the user, to do very little. And then they were sort of like a little lazy. So we're trying to pull up my protocol so you have an idea of when I say protocol. So I have this for Instagram, and I have this for Snapchat. And it's very basic because I just need that visual, and I also need that accountability, right? I said I was going to do this, and then I wrote this down. Let me do it. Like it's sort of like that little push, right? Because like you can tell yourself, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then you just go.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see. I'm sorry, I'm not very technically savvy. They give me the directions like over the phone. I'm like, okay,
Don't worry.
You did it.
Right. We all suggested that we just bang on the remote, so you're doing amazing.
Okay. Does anyone see where do I go to? Oh, full screen. Let me see if this will.
Yay!
It's kind of small.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this also helps if you guys ever want interns to have a protocol in place, so that way you can give it to your intern. So that way they're not recreating the wheel, because also you don't, if you have multiple people working on your channel, you don't want people to mess up your brand, right? So I've had interns and they have these brilliant ideas, and I'm just like, I love your brilliant idea, but this is my baby, so this is my brilliant idea. But it's very basic. It's like, a reminder of high quality photos. It's a reminder of like the certain fonts we're gonna use. And that took some time, actually, talking to different interns throughout the year, like what are the best like filters? And it's good that most of my interns are a lot younger than me, and they
grown up with Instagram, rather I've had like, you know, a good part of my life without Instagram, and they sort of grew up with it. So like which filters are better, and also what also helps with this is always looking at your insights. So if you have a business account, which photos are doing better. So when you're figuring out your themes for your Instagram account, I know we're talking a lot about Instagram, but it's growing. Look at the photos that are doing well, and why are those photos doing well, and you will see like consistently like which photos are doing better. Hashtags. So relevant hashtags we use for every post, and then we even created like a specific hashtag with each. I loved my last name. We have another Google Doc where it's like specific hashtags for certain types of photos that people have to use, right? And so that's another thing. It's like the hashtags we want to use. How we picked the hashtags was also, we looked again in analytics, and we looked at like which cities are we popular in, so then which hashtags do we want to use to grow certain cities, right? So I know I love looking at insights between Facebook and Instagram and even Twitter, and seeing where your audience is at for each channel. So I have a very big New York audience on Facebook. I think it's because I'm part of like this organization that's based there, but like New Yorkers, like, so that's why I had the content a little earlier. They're gonna be on my Facebook. However, on Instagram, it's really Bay Area, Los Angeles, and Texas. Like, especially Houston. I also know because I'm Latina, those are a lot of populations where there's a lot of Latinas. So they're gonna be on certain channels. So I want to look at seeing which cities I want to keep promoting, and do I want to hashtag their city so I can get more fans from those cities. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Weirdly, a lot of, like, I have a lot of love in, like, New York, a ton of love in Africa, which is always a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a lot of love in, like, San Pablo, and I have no idea why. And, like, I don't mind shouting them out, but I don't know exactly why they love me. I'm confused. It's a lot of men, which is kind of creepy, too. So, I mean, with stuff like that, do I want to push that up? Like, do I want to try to...
You can even put something on your Instagram, like create a cute image on Canva with, like, a photo from there, and be like, hey, you guys are giving me love. Like, what do you, like, just ask them, what do you like about it? And then also, maybe looking at your Google Analytics, if you have Google Analytics website, and seeing if you have love to your website from there, and maybe which articles. Okay, so then if it's just on your Instagram,
so weird.
You just have to see which hashtags are you using that
a
are really
lot
popular.
Of, like,
and
like,
then, did you do
Black
a
Girl
post?
Magic, Melanin League, Boss Girl,
Yeah.
like, a lot of, like,
I like
American kind of, like, hear me power more kind of stuff.
But you can even just ask them straight up, or you could be like, hey,
I kind of want to know, like,
yeah.
why y'all following me?
Yeah.
So,
But you could also monetize that and be like, hey, I see y'all are showing me love. I can host a workshop there in a few months. You know what I mean? Like, so since you have all those followers, maybe that could be an opportunity for you to host an event there.
that's a good idea.
So like next month I'm going to Houston because I have a following in Houston, and so I wanted, and my following there, they're very active. So I'm going to go there, meet up with them, and do an event there. So captions. So this was something that was important to me. It was especially if you do have interns, examples of like engaging captions, what you want them to talk about. And this is, again, you're always working, like who's ever working on the brand with you, whether it's a marketing consultant, whether it's an intern, whether it's just a social media consultant or coordinator for a time being. It's good to even just have this and you're on the same page and what you think is engaging, what they think is engaging. A calendar, timing. Yeah, we went like really detailed with this. Monthly themes. So if you want to have like a month where all the photos are focused on one certain theme. Because what is great about monthly themes or even weekly themes, when you're scheduling out posts, like I had one of my interns in July, she scheduled out all the posts for the month of November because that was an easy thing for her to do. Thankful. Give me 31 posts of things you're thankful for. Like, we can be broad. And then like she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, seriously, like what are you thankful for? Like, and I got to see she's really thankful about like traveling and eating, and then I had to give her feedback of like, let's change it up. I don't need like 6 photos of like your food. But you know, it's like going with that. So that might also just help with you guys if your time is limited, of really focusing on like, okay, I'm always about breaking it up. So if you have certain months where you want to do a theme, okay, schedule out those photos like now, because you know that's a theme. And then let's break it up into like, okay, what's your other months going to look like? They're going to go back to, you know, your regular program, you know?
Makes sense.
weekly themes like Valentine's Week, Black History. Like we were gonna do Black History Week because like we have Valentine's Week. September, like fashion.
Yeah, it's true. Like everything's trending right then, right? Like Valentine's, hashtag
Yeah.
Valentine's is really
So then I had to think about like the reason why I picked Valentine's Week was that a lot of people's favorite articles are like the relationship articles. So I knew like, okay, my audience really loves seeing different like photos of like relationships and love. And so that was something like one of my interns worked on, was finding 7 photos of like different types of love. And that was something that was like pretty easy for her to do. Oh, got it.
Sure. Okay, thank you. So my business is not really like lifestyle oriented, and so the thing that comes to mind for me is like the case study. But probably, like that doesn't really seem like it would be very easy to do that in a way that's live.
So you have a case study that you want to share with people?
I mean, I think that I could pull a few together, and some of them, you know, the people that I worked with, you know, a couple of them would probably be willing to like be part of that video or whatever form of content it would take. Maybe they do a live broadcast with me, but I don't know. I just wonder if, you know, what other strategies somebody who, like, I mean, me in front of a camera might get me some business, but I don't.
You don't need
but
it.
like my business is not really that much about my personality.
Yeah. So I would definitely, if you have a case study, like how I would approach it is that you do a YouTube video, so you could go back and do the editing, maybe not a live video. And then get some people, like sort of do almost like a talk show kind of format. So get some people that are experts in that case study, give yourself time so you guys can read up on it, and maybe even outreach to like maybe like a local reporter on like the right or something to be the moderator, to keep the conversation going, to have that like extra like personality, and then they could post it. And if the case study, depending on how long it is, you could break it up into like 3 or 4 videos, and it could sort of be like a series on just this one case study. Because people only really watch videos but up to like maybe 10 minutes, and then they lose interest. And the case study is going to have so much details in it. And the reason why I think YouTube is like, if that case study is relevant to like what people might need for like a master's program or undergrad, they could just Google the topic and then, or YouTube search the topic, and it'll come up, and then you get a lot of views that way. And then you can share it on like Facebook and LinkedIn. I think that would be something great. And then on LinkedIn, you can even just do like a quick live video with one of the people that are going to be in the video of you promoting this video is on YouTube after it's done and it's edited.
Okay.
That's how I would approach it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Fun.
I forgot. It's okay. But I think it's this, okay, so I mean, you know, I've got 2 businesses and I also work part-time, so I think the question was going to be
She's also a mom.
for Facebook. Like right now, I'm really focused on Facebook right now, but I'm going to try to do Instagram through it. I'm doing my little schedule here. But I try to do at least 3 posts on Facebook a week, which is like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or whatever. Is that pretty good, or is that consistent, or less is better? Because I also try to do my blog, and then Instagram is way too much work.
I would look at your insights and look to see which posts are doing by which days, which times. Because those might not necessarily be the best times. Because if you're like looking at your posts and you're like, I'm not getting a lot of engagement on these posts, you know, looking at that scene. I think if you want a lot of engagement and you're only going to post 3 times a week, I would definitely do like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. People are on, especially with your books, and you're going to engage with parents and also like other buyers. They're going to be on their social media channels more on the weekends. And then you can use all different applications to schedule out those posts. You can even go on Facebook and schedule out the posts, right?
So that's what
So that way you're not on like Facebook on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
So that
that's
way,
the one thing I have been doing.
yeah. And if you're still growing your audience, I would definitely like do some A/B testing, right? Do Thursday through Saturday for like a month. Then maybe do like Friday through Sunday for like another month, and see which days are better for engagement. Ideally, it would be great if you post every day,
because your information is going to get lost by like day 2, right? So it's great if you post every day, but if you can only post 3 times a day, I think changing up the days would be better.
Okay, so typically right now, I might do Monday, I typically right now try to 3 days a week, but then I'll do like a 6 a.m. post, and maybe a lunch post, and then sometimes even a dinner, like those.
Oh, that's good.
But I schedule them out, but I'm still thinking, can I
So-
narrow it down and make it less, or is that pretty, but I think I'm gonna do what you said, because I have not taken a look at my insights, and my Facebook is really low, like my notifications, I think it's like maybe 120 people. So it's not a lot of followers. My Instagram for my mail was different. That was like 2,400. And that one took me a lot.
It's nice, right?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do the Insta stories.
Yeah, so I think,
I read that Insta stories are going to be the big thing this year.
and it's interesting like how people, because I watch a lot of different influencers, right? From like big influencers to local business owners, and just seeing how they could approach Instagram stories. Because all you have to think about Instagram stories this way is, especially if your audience is older, like neither of my parents are on Instagram, but if they were, like it's easier for them to grasp Instagram stories than Snapchat, right? Because they're already there. That's why people watch Instagram stories. It's like that next step. So a lot of my male friends who are also on Twitter, they're going to watch my Instagram stories because they have Instagram. They'll use that as a secondary. They're like Twitter, Instagram, and my male friends are between 35 and 45, and they're like working professionals, right? So they're going to use Twitter, Instagram, and then Facebook maybe so they can remember where the club is at for that night event because they don't know where it's at. That's where they're going to use it, but that's how they're going to get the info. So I think that's why Instagram Stories is doing so popular, is because people are already on Instagram. They didn't have to adapt to something new.
Can I say one more thing about Facebook for you too? Have you tried the paid either boosting or ads? Because you'll probably notice a little bit more traction and more followers and more engagement once you spend like just a few dollars a month.
Yeah, I think I have to redo it. I think the last time I tried it was 2 years ago, and I just don't think I knew what I was doing and understanding how it worked, because I think what I was trying to do was get email addresses from them. And then I think I was spending like 100 or 60 a month, but I never knew where to find the actual like email addresses. Like I was just confused with the whole platform. I feel like I want to give it another shot. My goal for me with any of my businesses, because I agree with you that I use email newsletters too. I use a platform that's been great, and I can create them, and I do try to do that at least once a month. And so I believe in collecting those emails. But when I do the Facebook ads, I was confused as to figuring out where I didn't know what people were.
And I think that's what the insights are helpful with too, because then you can, once you know, like, oh, well, there's women who are like 35, 40, 50 years old in Palo Alto who are mostly my followers. So now I know how to target them. And then the feature of pinning so if you have your email subscribe, if you have MailChimp or Constant Contact, maybe just pinning that post. So do the ad and also pin the post, so when people come back to your Facebook page, it's the first thing that they see on the top of your feed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I have my newsletter at the top of my Facebook business page, so it'll invite them to join the newsletter.
And when in doubt, again, go on YouTube and research how to do this, or how, a lot of channels, like Facebook is always changing up their format, YouTube changes up their format, so sometimes you just might need a refresher of like, where is this info? Because that can be really confusing too. I like to sit on tables. I don't know why. I think maybe because my parents didn't allow me to sit on tables. So any other questions? If you guys have 15 minutes, feel free to take some snacks home. Drink as much coffee as possible.
Oh, the coffee's gone, but...
The coffee's gone?
Yeah, she took it. I saw her roll it away.
I was like, no. Bicycle Coffee is free today, guys. So they have a location in Uptown and Jack London. Every Friday is free coffee. Cold and hot.
Just every Friday?
Every Friday.
That's crazy.
So they're like 3 blocks away from me. So that's where I'll be getting my coffee today. But yeah, any other questions? So I definitely, again, this is going to be part of your marketing plan, right? And if you guys want, I'll send a follow-up email, and then if you guys just respond to that email, and we're all friends, I would definitely share with you guys snippets of my marketing plan. So, because I know I'm a visual person, and sometimes people just need to see the format of things, right? Of how
like
they
you
can
can
work
fill
on
it
it.
in.
Yeah, because
When you did this, it was like, okay, now I understand what a protocol means.
yeah, so the protocol is not your analysis, right? It doesn't go into like your analytics or anything. It's just more of the how-to. So that way you have that guide, and whoever else is on your team has that guide. So I have this for Snapchat. I have this for Facebook. I'm working on it for LinkedIn. So every channel ideally is going to have a protocol, and then it's all like saved. I'll print it. It looks very pretty. Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, because I realized, especially with Instagram, my brand was all over the place, and I really wanted to zone in. And then with Facebook Live and YouTube, having the protocol of like how you're gonna film and how often, and like the editing, like the timing you're gonna post it, and all that good stuff. And also with any live videos, keep in mind, even YouTube videos, you're gonna do a couple practice runs. How you feel comfortable in front of the camera. And sometimes it might not be you in front of the camera. Sometimes you might have to just ask someone to sort of be like your personality, if you don't want to be in front of the camera.
I'm gonna get in front of the camera, but I'm not going to talk to you.
Okay.
I think that's the thing. I get nervous, and I get super self-conscious, and maybe wearing a hat and saying about it the first time. Thank you.
Yeah, they would, because there's a statistic that shows that people watch videos in silence first before they turn the, like, so if you have like on a hat, they'll be like, what is this? Let me click on what she's saying. So.
I just get so nervous, and I blank. That's the weird thing about, like, I tend to have Post-it notes, and I go live, and it's like...
It's nice to be spontaneous versus scripted too. I think some people prefer that also.
Yeah.
Christina has something.
I just had a question on Facebook. So I kind of use it like ad hoc. So it's linked to my Instagram account. So pretty much whatever I do on my Instagram pops on my Facebook. But sometimes, because I have a pretty significant number of people on my personal Facebook account too. So I guess, like, do you have any like suggestions or tips on like how people typically use their personal Facebook in addition to their Facebook page?
Yeah. So how I sort of use my personal and my business one, and some of you guys are Facebook friends. My personal one is my personal one. You're gonna see a lot about my business, but that's also where I show photos of like my family and like traveling. That's like my overall life, right? But I'm also very particular like what I'm gonna show my overall, because you're a brand, right? And then the business one is, because I'm with the magazine, it is content, it is videos, it's all geared towards the magazine. It's also showcasing like what other women are doing. Like I do Share It Sunday, and I share what another woman's doing. So it's all like that. So I think the personal one, what I always do mine is like it's personal. So this is going to have more of like immediate family and Nick and I and like friends. I'm not gonna show a photo of me at a picnic on my business plan, on my business account. Unless like it's a sponsored post and like I'm drinking like a special type of wine and they want to post it there. But you know what I mean? So that's how I divvy it up. However, I think your personal page should always show what you're doing for work, because your personal page, for me, it still has, well, it has slightly, a little bit more, I have a little bit more friends than I do on my business one. But those are friends, right? Like or business acquaintances. So those relationships are different. So I want to make sure I'm not always selling them something, because it's going to be a lot of friends and family, right? Does that help?
I agree with that too. When I very first started doing Facebook Live, I was like, well, I only have several hundred people following me on my Facebook page, my business page, but I have like several thousand, friends. I deleted most of them over the holidays, so now I have like 1,200, but it was like 4,000 or something like that. So I was like, if I don't really know you, I don't want you to be on my page. But I would go live there first, like maybe the first 2 or 3 times, just to let people know that I will be doing live videos regularly, and then I just encourage them to go to the business page to see
see the rest of my future live videos. So I had this core group of people on the personal page, but I was using that to like help them guide people if they wanted to go over to my business page.
That's what I was curious about because, yeah, like I feel like I've had my personal Facebook account for years. So it's like I've got like so many people on here, and I'm sure that there's some within that network that you could use for your business. So I really like that. That's such a great way to like get them over to.
Yeah. Because even in the beginning, I would do Facebook Live on my personal account because I also felt like it was a great way for people on my personal account to know what I'm doing. And then I started doing more on like the business account. But I felt like the engagement rate would be there. And also, it's also a good reminder, I don't know, like we didn't dive into this, but I think as entrepreneurs or business owners, it is very, sometimes it's hard to talk to your family about what you do because what you do is a typical 9 to 5.
They don't get it.
And they don't get it, right? So I always think it's cool to do Facebook Lives on my personal account about what I'm doing for work because then I get like my aunts and my uncles like encouraging me and then they have an idea what I'm doing. So the next time you talk to my mom and dad, they're like, oh, you're supposed to be doing this and this. And I'm like, see, I'm not like, I'm doing
Eating
something.
bonbons
Yeah.
at home watching
I'm like,
I remember you did a post like that. You're like, sometimes friends and family are just like, so are you still writing? And then you're like, yeah, and then you had a picture of you writing out like a treatment for something.
yeah,
and
like
it
a
was
business side, like, yes, I'm still writing. Thanks so much for your support. But I think that's also a good way of just like sort of helping with like your whole branding and showing them like what exactly you're doing. Sometimes I do Facebook Lives at like events. Or if I'm interviewing someone, do a quick Facebook Live so people know what I'm doing. All right, we got like 5 minutes. I love the questions, guys.
You can always hit us up in the future, email.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow up with everyone via email.
You
Yeah.
follow everyone?
The ones that signed up for the event, did you sign up for the event?
On Eventbrite, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I will follow up with everyone on Eventbrite. I have everyone's email via there.